Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. Thank you so much for being with us. Happy New Year 2022. We're back and we have our first guest artist, and we're happy to be back and bringing you a new lineup of artists for this year for you to be inspired by, to be encouraged, and to bring hope, and also for us to reach our full potential as creatives and artists, non-artists alike. All right, so again, thank you for being with us. My name is Leslie Sue, and I'm the host for Art and Talk. So we're going to be beginning our new year with a focus on healing, and we're going to be exploring with our guest the art of removing self-sabotage thought patterns, and so we can access higher dimensions, higher knowledge, again, to reach our full potential. All right, so our guest for today, she's a spiritual artist. She's a 4th level master shaman and also a registered nurse. And she'll be taking us on a journey of healing and how we can remove self-sabotage thought patterns. Again, welcome. Thank you again for being with us. I'd like to welcome our guest, Lauren Egle. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm ecstatic to be here.
Oh my gosh, well, we're so honored, and we know this is going to be a fantastic journey under your direction to share with us knowledge of removing self-sabotage thought patterns, which I'm sure is like everybody can relate to, which is very prevalent. And removing those is going to help us to access more of who we truly are and fulfill our heart's desires and grow and expand here, as you know, fulfilling our desires of our heart and the physical, and also for our spiritual growth as well.
Yes. Self-sabotage, especially like the energies like kind of ending 2021 and then kind of still going a little bit into 2022 have been crazy. A lot of self-sabotage coming up for a lot of people. So I feel like this is perfect timing for this.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, Lauren, before we get into this discussion, for those of you who are watching and they're not sure what a 4th level master shaman is, could you just give us a little bit about what is that and how did you achieve that?
Yes. So on my spiritual journey, whenever I ended up in Colorado, all I knew of then was I had met a Peruvian shaman. And that's how I kind of learned, and I'll explain that, but I kind of learned my spiritual path through him, ended up doing Peruvian shamanism. So Peruvian shamanism, the word shaman means medicine man or woman of the tribe. And the term like Peruvian shaman is the traditions passed down by the Incas in Peru. And so this is the lineage that I learned from with my shamanic training. Does that help break it down a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So as you were saying, the energies towards the end of 2021 and now into 2022, which we just embarked upon, you're saying that there's a lot of this self-sabotage going on. Can you go ahead and let us in on and tapping us into these energies that are going on?
Yes. So we're shifting. So I'm going to start from kind of a collective consciousness level and bring it kind of towards the self-sabotage. We're shifting. So 2020, 2021, there has been a lot of hitting our own walls in a sense of, I can't keep living this way. I can't keep doing this. I have to express myself. I have to be my true, authentic self and bring my gifts to this world. And we've really been nudged, pushed, however you want to say it, by God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, and or yourself or Gaia. We've really been nudged in a sense of like, we really need to start being our true authentic selves because we have things that are gifts that we are bringing the world. Everybody's a light worker. What does this mean? It means we have some light to bring to the earth, some helpfulness, something that we can give and offer. But because we do so much for other people, many light workers, many healers, many artists, many so many people are giving to a point where they cross their own boundaries. They give too much. They don't refill their cup. And because of it, we come back because say if I'm just giving, and say I have a meeting, this is just like an everyday thing. I have a meeting and with my clients, and one person needs a little extra help. Of course, I'm going to give that little extra help. But if I'm consistently going past that time and stretching my bandwidth, then I'm going to want to rebel on, all the other stuff in my life that can bring me joy or can make me go further and open up in my spiritual journey, and therefore self-sabotage. So tapping into 2021, 2022, the reason why I said there's a lot of self-sabotage coming up is it because a lot of us are learning and seeing that we are being pushed to really truly be ourselves, to stop taking BS from other people around us, from our jobs, from really standing into our true authentic self. But we're kind of scared to go there. And because of that, we're still kind of giving a little too much. And then that in turns brings the self-sabotage because internally we can't do it anymore. And that's what I mean right now with these energies that are coming in for 2022. There's a lot of self-sabotage because there's, a lot of people being resistant. There's a lot of people that are opening up. But even though we may open up a little bit, there's still that it's subtleties, learning what our boundaries are for ourselves. And when we cross those boundaries, boom, we bring more self-sabotage. And because we're being so pushed, especially in 2022, and I'm going to talk about joy as we go, but especially in 2022, we can't have that anymore. Everything in our bodies is saying no more. So that's why self-sabotage is coming up for a lot of people, because it's us rebelling against us crossing our own boundaries in that sense.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like off the bat, Lauren, the first thing that you're advising us to do to remove self-sabotage is to really take a good look, an assessment of how much we are actually giving as compared to receiving. So you want us to kind of get a balance going on and really assess that area of giving and receiving, and also take an inner exploration on how much we're being our authentic self and how much the importance of this is in establishing our voice. And as you were beautifully saying, that to share our light, to share our gifts. So these are kind of like the first areas you want us to really look at. Is that correct?
Yes. This is a broader sense. So we're talking about self-sabotage. This is a broader sense that we're going into. But yes, because it is the area of giving. How much are we continuously giving? Because when we're in say a lot of people are going in, we have the coronavirus. I don't know why that word just left them out. We have everything that's going on with the virus. We have everything that's going on with the world right now. It's hectic. And because so many people are kind of in a crisis mode, or a lot of stuff is coming up with them internally, we're like, well, I need to help this person. And we're not filling our cups first. So it is about how much you are giving, but it's also about how much you are allowing within yourself. So it is the receiving part too. There's both aspects, because if we are, giving, and then we get offered help, but we're like, no, I'm fine. I can do this. I'm just going to keep giving. We're draining ourselves. So it's both the giving and the receiving is definitely something to check yourself with, even daily with the people closest to you. That's the hardest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. I also wondering, you have this beautiful feline next to you. Can we just introduce her? Because she obviously wants to be on the show.
Yes. This is my cat. So funny story is her name is Titty,
Mm-hmm.
Titty. I got her whenever I was in college. So she has a little bit of age with her, and yeah, she is amazing. And I've had many lives with her, many lives.
And cats are great healers. Do you agree with that?
There's so many times when I'm laying down, going into meditation, and she'll come lay on my stomach and give me whatever like healing that I need. It's happened like I can't even count the times. And they're amazing healers.
All right, so let's go ahead and continue with your advisement for us in getting rid of these sabotage thought patterns so we can really reach our full potential and really step up in this year of 2022.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. So I'm going to give a little bit of a background to really go into the self-sabotage aspect. So growing up for myself, my family was very chaotic, or still to this day is very chaotic. Love them to death. Very chaotic. There was always like someone almost dying. There was so much emotional distress consistently. It's like it never ended, and still kind of to this day, it can be like that. I had a major lack of safety and security, and I basically wanted stability, and I needed that stability. So what I did was I started searching for stability, that safety, security, that stability on the outside. And whenever I was searching for the outside, okay, maybe if I just go into nursing. So I decided to go into nursing because I wanted to help people. So I didn't know which direction to go. I wanted to help people. And when I was going into the nursing and I started helping people, it was still bringing that sense of that chaos, that sense of lack of safety and security, because I was looking to help people on the outside, and maybe, you know, that could help me somehow. And whenever I was doing that, yes, it was helpful because my mind was off of me and on other people. And that's what we tend to do whenever we are trying to assist other people. And or even say artists, like whenever they're creating their art, it's like, how can I assist other people and with my art? Especially like, however, so I have a good friend of mine who does art, and her art is like, you know, goes very much into healing, into sacred geometry in her art and all of that. And it's kind of the same thing. How can I assist other people? And it's a great thing to do. We get, you know, some fulfillment for it, but we're still bringing that, you know, past, or I was still bringing my past with me. And then I started getting into assisting other people in learning how to heal themselves. And this is what I do for my business, learning how to heal themselves and learning how and getting certified on how to assist others in their healing. And I had realized as I was doing that, I was getting fulfillment, but my safety and security and my stability, as I was like trying to get away from my family, I love them, but you know, I needed that space because I was looking for that stability and I knew I wasn't going to find it there. And I started, you know, getting into assisting other people. And I realized that safety and security and stability, I had control over what was happening in my business. So I thought. But I was still bringing that same chaos. It wasn't just chaos with my family now, it was chaos with my clients. But I was helping them through it. So it brought them, or it does bring them hope, bring them happiness, bring them worthiness. And so with that, and the reason why I'm even going into this, it does relate to the self-sabotage, is when I'm bringing them this, I'm still bringing all of this, like that I'm talking about right now, is where I'm helping them. But I learned after a bit that I still wasn't helping myself. I was still self-sabotaging. How was I self-sabotaging? Now, this is getting a little bit more specific, but I'll break it down. I was still self-sabotaging because I was still bringing the chaos in my life in some way, shape, or form. I was always trying to put out fires in my business. Because I was trying to help people with what they were doing. Now, does it bring fulfillment? Yes. And I love doing it. But I never found that I never realized until, you know, after a while, probably like 5, 6 years ago, I realized that I was bringing all of the instability within me because I haven't found the stability within me. So what I would do whenever I was assisting my clients 5, 6 years ago, or maybe even longer than that, is I would help them, help them, help them. And this is what I was talking about with, you know, giving, 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 because I was so used to doing that with my family, trying to lift them up, trying to stop them from hurting themselves, trying to give them energy so that they could maybe be a little happier. And I kept, giving them energy, trying to pep them up, trying to stop them from falling on their butt. And consistently, it was draining my energy because I realized it wasn't heart aligned. I realized that I was trying to be a savior. And with this, I realized I can't save them. Only they can save themselves if they choose to. That was a really hard time for me because my brother ended up getting in a car wreck and dying in 2017. My dad ended up dying 2019, and they were going through some hard times when this happened. And that still kind of pushed me to well, I need to try to save everybody else. I don't want to lose anybody else. And the fear of, I need to save these people. I need to save my clients. I need to save whomever is around me. Maybe I can just make them feel better. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. When I would give too much because I'm trying to help other people, oh, I have all the energy. I have, I can do it. And I wasn't truly listening to myself because I was like, their stuff is more important because they're low. Then I would self-sabotage because I was talking myself into, I can do a little bit more, just a little bit more. I can give a little bit more. I can, talk them down from the ledge every single time. And I took them on as my responsibility. I took my family on as my responsibility. I took my clients on back then before I learned as my responsibility. And what I didn't realize, and so let me say this first, I took their responsibility on, and because I did, I have been so weighted down, and this is a form of self-sabotage. Because I'm so weighted down with other people's stuff, instead of talking them through it when it was heart aligned, when it felt good, when I didn't feel like my energy was being drained, when I gave too much, then my energy would be lowered. And therefore, I couldn't access the higher vibrations because I'm holding on to all this responsibility, all of this weight. And my energy is going low. And now I can't create, which is taking away my joy and my fun. So I've been self-sabotaging for years, thinking that, but I'm doing good, I'm helping them. But there's a balance. So with that, so we're talking about, when we have the self-sabotage thoughts of, oh, I can't do this, oh, I can't do that. There's multiple reasons why we self-sabotage. One being is that we spend so much energy in areas that are not, for example, giving too much to other people, too much time, too much energy, where it goes over what's actually heart aligned. And then whenever it comes to doing things for ourselves, we don't give it to ourselves because we're tired, we're worn out. That's the self-sabotage. That's one aspect of it. The other parts of self-sabotage, if we're going into thoughts of self-sabotage, and that's a big one because we carry that around with us, because we lose our energy to do things that feel good for ourselves. The other part of self-sabotage is, so I'll take it to an everyday level. We have a goal. We're wanting to really bring that goal into fruition. We want to bring it into, so we set a New Year's resolution, and we have a goal for me is creating a higher level thought process for my business, like a program or an extra add-on, because that's where my heart is really wanting to go. Okay. So say that's my goal. And there's ways that we self-sabotage. One is avoidance. I know it's there, but I have all these fires to put out. Or assist people with this, this, and this. And I'll stay a little bit longer here, and I'll stay a little bit longer there. And I'll do this extra because my family needs it. Instead of setting times and boundaries with how much I give. And my thought's like, well, if I just stay a little bit longer, like, it's fine. They need it. They need it. But if it becomes a pattern and it's not just once or twice, like when it really is needed, and it becomes a pattern, my thoughts are like, with my goal is avoidance. I don't have time to look at what I want to create because all my time and attention are going to giving too much. I'm not allowing myself to receive. I'm not allowing myself to have that joy. So there's avoidance. So that's something that we can check into ourselves with. Are we avoiding things that we really want to accomplish or really want to do in our lives because we're giving, and we don't have time for it? There's another part of we're not worthy enough. Oh, so I want to lose 15 pounds. I'm just making up something right here. Well, lose 15 pounds. This is my goal. And we go to do it and say, we're like, okay, I'm going to sign up for a gym and I'm going to get some help, or yeah, I really need to call that trainer and set up an appointment. And then we end up finding other things to do. And a lot of times it's because of self-worth. A lot of times it's because actually I don't deserve this. So there's that self-worth aspect, and that's something to check in. Is it self-worth aspect? If it's self-worth aspect, one thing that we can do, so knowing where you're coming from, is it avoidance? Is it self-worth? And I'm going to go into anything else that is going to come up. There's ways to look at it. So say it's a self-worth. We can start small. We can take small steps. So self-worth, if it's you want say you're at a candy store and you want a candy. You're like, I shouldn't eat that candy, or, I'm just gonna leave that candy there. Get that freaking candy. You deserve it. Eat that candy. Give to yourself. So the more we give to ourselves, the more we're saying, I am worthy. I am worthy. And these are small things to look at whenever it comes to like the mind and where we are in our thought processes whenever it comes to self-sabotage. The other one is like, so if it's avoidance, if you have that, whatever goal it is that you want to do, and you have it up on a mirror, say it's in your bathroom mirror, and you wrote it down on your mirror so you see it, and you look at it, and then eventually you just stop looking at it, and you start to notice, wait, I haven't given any time or attention to this. Why? And you realizing you're avoiding it. Is it because you're giving too much time and energy to things that aren't serving you? Are you avoiding it because of self-worth? That's another thing. So realizing where it's coming from is a huge step in moving forward whenever it comes to self-sabotage. So those are just a couple of factors whenever it does come to self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love all that you're sharing, and I appreciate you sharing part of your personal journey that I think a lot of people, can relate to, in different ways, and helping us move into really assessing and seeing what's going on with our thought patterns in terms of self-sabotage. It seems like with the avoidance, Lauren, that it's a real kind of like unplugging from the external world, because it could be family, it could be work, it could be this, it could be that, even through art, in some respects, or one's profession, whatever that might be, in terms of just letting the external world go and really going within and really giving to yourself. And some of the keys that you were saying, where if you're self-sabotaging, is if there's a lot of heavy energy, if you're tired, if you're drained, you need to explore that and see, perhaps, is that something to do with self-sabotage and with avoidance. And then tapping into the areas of self-worth. I think so many people watching us will be able to relate to that and really give an honest assessment, look within thought patterns, day to day, moment to moment, and really seeing, okay, what's going on, kind of like looking under the hood of a car, not being judgmental, just say, hey, what's going on here for our own evolution and our own growth, and really becoming all that we can through getting rid of all this self-sabotage thought patterns that are so habitual, that, as you were saying, that for years and years and years, that you experience and we've all experienced, and now we want to unravel it. And you're saying that this is really the time now, that this moment, this year, this is now the time for us to really step up. So I love all this that you're sharing with us.
Awesome. Yes. So the interesting part of self-sabotage is part of your shadow work. Each person is so individual, and a lot of times whenever it comes to shadow work, there's stuff that we don't see within ourselves. You may not notice that you're avoiding one of your goals because it's out of sight, out of mind. You may not notice that you are, not accomplishing one thing that you want to do because of worthiness, because you don't even realize that you do feel that you're unworthy. So number one, listening to this and like, okay, what does resonate? Oh, this stuck out. And realizing, okay, it's sticking out for a reason. Do I feel unworthy? So that's one aspect of it. But a lot of times we need assistance. For example, I have assistance when it comes to spiritual work. I call a couple of friends, and previous to that, I had, my teachers. For business, I have a business coach. For Spanish, I have a Spanish teacher. And the reason why I really want to hone into this is because there's things that we don't see. And if it's self-sabotage is definitely a part of us that likes to hide. Self-sabotage is something that we don't always see within ourselves, and we need an outside view to kind of point it out and say, you may be kind of self-sabotaging in this area. And then you're like, oh, I didn't realize. Or, okay, you're self-sabotaging and you notice that, but where is that coming from? Because there could be so many parts of self-sabotage and the thought patterns that come up. It could be, beliefs passed down from generation to generation. So familial karmic patterns. It could be wounds from the past. So wounded inner child work, that's how I say it, is wounds from the past that are still affecting you today because of the emotions that you're holding and because of the beliefs that you're holding in. So as far as self-sabotage goes, I do suggest getting assistance with that, because that is one of the hardest things for us to work on within ourselves. Because if it weren't hard, how many people you think would have accomplished sky's the limit to this day? So that is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it, and I do like to sometimes bring in channeling just to kind of see what comes in. I feel so I'm going off of, I don't have this written down, kind of flowing with it. And the celestial beings, so I work with, higher dimensional beings. I work with higher dimensional energies. I teach in the spiritual realm. And the celestial beings that are coming in right now that are wanting to assist us is Sirians. So Sirians are from Sirius, and guys, everybody take what resonates with you. They're coming in here or tapping in. They want us to know when it comes to the mind can play tricks, is the first thing they say, which we know this, the mind can really play tricks on you. And it's coming from, I'm seeing where this goes. It's coming from a self-saboteur space. Here's what they're showing me, and I haven't actually ever taught it like this. This is interesting. And I'm realizing one of my clients actually does it like this. What he did, and what I'm getting from this Sirians right now, is he imagined his own self-saboteur as if it's a part of him that's actually separate. So it's like him, but it's separate from him. Typically what we're doing right now as we're healing and we're moving forward in our spiritual journey, in our journey through life, wherever you are, is that we're really becoming unified and really bringing back the parts of ourselves and integrating and accepting the parts that we hide from ourselves. What he does and what really works is imagining you at whatever age, your self-saboteur. That part of you that's like, you shouldn't do that, when you know it's something that you shouldn't do. That part of you that has that resistance. And what he does is, and I feel like the Sirians have more, so I'm gonna explain what he does and then bring in the Sirians, is he says, like, that whenever he's talking to a self-saboteur, because it's separate from him, it's like he can kind of argue with it in a sense of, no, I see you, I hear you, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Now, this is really good in the beginning and for a while to practice with the self-saboteur as if it's somebody else trying to convince you to do something, or trying to turn you in that wrong direction, and having that dialogue with this perceived self-saboteur. And it's kind of like working with wounded inner children in a sense. It's just not going, it's very, very similar, I'll say that. And having that dialogue, and whenever something comes up that you start to doubt, or something that is stopping you from reaching your goals or accessing higher dimensions, or creating the art that you want to create, whatever it is, start to have dialogue with this part of you. You imagine it as a part of you that's separate from you, and you can start having a little bit more control of it. Because when we think that it's part of us and we have no control over it, that is not helpful, right? Because we fall into it. If we separate it, and this is kind of going backwards in the spiritual world, but I'll explain why, but it's also helpful. If you separate it from yourself and realize that it doesn't control you, that you have freedom from what your mind is telling you, and you can imagine as some other part of you that's detached, then you can start taking control of your mind. Now, in the spiritual world, is this going backwards? It's like going backwards to go forwards. Here's why. Right now, I mentioned we're all about unification and really bringing all those wounded parts of us back and integrating those back. But first, we have to realize that we actually do have control of it. We have more say-so, let's say that. The word control we're learning in the spiritual world, and for everybody, we're learning to let go of control. We don't have control of everything. And so if we're doing this, and it's because we're learning that we have more say-so, then it is very beneficial. Once you get to a point with this self-saboteur, if you imagine, intend, visualize this extra part of you outside from yourself, and you're practicing that way, and you're like, no, I'm not going for that. No, this is not, if you say this is not part of me, in a sense, it doesn't have that much say-so at all, then you can start really noticing, oh, I can choose my thoughts. I can choose which direction I take my thoughts. So once you get to a point of, and you're fully aware of like, wait, whether this part is part of me or not, I am the one that can take my thoughts in any direction. But it'll take time, it'll take practice. Once you get to that space of that for sure knowing and feeling and embodying, that if you start going in a negative direction, you can flip to like, wait, no, I don't want to go there. I'm going this way. then you can bring that part back within you and practice doing it with that part within you. So that was one thing that they wanted, the Sirians wanted me to bring that in. I didn't have that planned for today, so that was extra. And another thing that they want to say is the mind is coming back. So I mentioned this in my Tuesday live teaching. I have Tuesday live teaching every Tuesday at 7 p.m. in my Facebook group. And I mentioned this yesterday. I got the messages for it, and I feel to bring it in, is in 2021, 2020, and even before that, we were bringing back the feminine in society, in the collective, in the community as a whole, because the masculine, the thought, the like, it has to be this, the 9 to 5 work, and like so super focused in how we're thinking as a society, we were learning to bring the feminine in, bring the emotions back, bring the flow back. Now in 2022, we're shifting that in a sense of we're going back to masculine, but a balanced masculine. So when we start, say we do this technique with the self-saboteur, and we practice this, and we realize we have way more say so, and we can direct our thoughts in a certain way. We're coming into the masculine, but a balanced masculine, because the mind is really important in our spiritual journey, because it's the perspective, it's the understanding, and that's a huge part of our healing. And when we get to the point of bringing that part back in within us and realizing we still have that say so, and we can still redirect our thoughts, that's what 2022 is about. We've been focusing on, and it depends on where you're on your spiritual journey. Maybe you're still trying to bring in some of that more flow of that feminine, and that flow, and giving yourself that love and receiving. That's huge with feminine, is allowing yourself to receive the help, the love, the nurturing, whatever it is. You're receiving those, galactic cosmic parts of yourself that you're integrating back. That's coming up for a lot of people. You're receiving and opening up your own gifts, your spiritual gifts. Then, you may be working on that right now too, but as a collective, we are bringing back the masculine, but a balanced version, where the mind is about moving forward, not about reacting from the past and remembering so much from the past that it stops us from moving forward. And they're coming in as a reminder, or for me to tell that.
You're giving us so much rich information, Lauren. And I'm so grateful that the Sirians came in with that beautiful message. And it makes a lot of sense, and it's such great application from like cosmic to down to earth, is that when we start to really become aware and assess what's going on with our thought patterns, what we're doing with self-sabotage, once we have that awareness, that strategy that you just presented with the Sirians is so empowering and really provides so much freedom, because we can kind of be like the observer. We can look at, once we identify some thoughts coming in that have nothing to do with who we are, but we see, okay, this is really preventing us from moving forward and living a life of joy and what we want to manifest in our lives, and to just kind of be talking to it from like a conversation, almost from as you said, detached. I think that was so effective and so practical for us to apply.
Another part of that whenever you said the word detached, I got a message to bring this in, is when we have been and still are learning that feminine side and really bringing back the feminine flow. The feminine is associated with the emotions, and we've been learning how to bring back and open ourselves up with emotions and release the emotions. And then the masculine is the mind, typically. So and I was just giving that extra, with the emotional aspect to it, we can get so wrapped up and start to dwell in our emotions. And a lot of people, have been going into some rough times because multiple reasons, but we're being pushed to change. And sometimes change is hard, or change is different. And we're learning how to let go of that struggle. So that's another theme too. In the world right now is living without struggle. And it's not about, when I'm talking about living without struggle, it's not about going around everything like, oh, I'm going to live without struggle as, oh, the I'm not going to get in that car wreck. Let's just say, no, that car wreck could still come, right? We're humans. We experience. Doesn't mean you're going to, swivel through anything. It's the ease and the grace that you go through with it. So we've been, at this time, a lot of people have been really going into their emotions, and it's like almost pulling them down in a sense. What the masculine does is the masculine and the balanced masculine can detach and give an like eagle perspective and an outer perspective, because we're bringing in the balanced mind, and we can see, taking a break from something that we're so overwhelmed in. If you're in something, say you're in a relationship and that relationship is almost falling to pieces, and you're so overwhelmed with what's happening, but you stay in that relationship in a sense of you're constantly around that person and you're too far in it. We need to take a step back, and we need some space to get an outer perspective, detaching from the emotions, so that we can reset and see what our minds want to tell us, and with the connection with the heart as much as possible. And when we can do that, it's almost like it's an outer perspective. Just like whenever we're going through our own self-sabotage, and we're so caught up in it because we live it, and then someone else with an outer perspective comes in and says, oh, this is what's going on. When we take that space and time, and it's not just, I'm not talking about just a day, sometimes we need more time. It could be, a week, it could be a month, and you separate yourself from the emotions, you separate yourself from whatever it is. And we're not talking about running, because you're going to deal with it. We're not running. Taking that space and getting that outer perspective, which is the mind, and from there we can see things that we weren't seeing when we were too close into it. And that is huge right now. I'm working on that with a lot of my clients because of this, the emotional stuff that has been coming up, and because we're learning how to bring back the balanced mind, the mind aspect. And part of that is that eagle's view, that higher or distance or higher perspective, to get a clearer view.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that balanced masculine, the balanced mind, to heal our thoughts, to heal our mind. And that's so beautiful how you were elaborating, because it does remove the emotionality that some of us get hung up on. And then there's the hamster wheel. We can actually detach, have that beautiful eagle perspective, as you were saying, and really see that we're kind of just watching a movie here, and we don't have to get so caught up in it. And as you're saying, yes, we have to address it. We have to face it. Like you said, of course, we're not running from it. We're dealing with it head on, but in this beautiful, balanced, healing way, with ease and grace, and combining our heart as well.
Yes, as you were saying that, it's just reminded me, whenever you are in that higher or outside perspective, and you're not so caught up, in the emotions and in it, you're able to shift your perspective. If you imagine taking, so another theme of 2022, I'm going to give the 3 major themes that I just said in a second, but another theme of 2022, and this has already started in 2021, but going into 2022 is fun, or is bringing that childlike perspective back, bringing that joy, because that's such a higher vibrational energy, and it's an expansion, and we flow with it, and that's where it's really coming in. So whenever we're in this outer perspective, if we take a childlike perspective of it, in a sense of, I wonder what I can do with that, and add some joy into it, you're also learning how to add joy into shadow work or into the tough stuff, which raises the vibration. It doesn't feel so heavy, and it helps because it's raising the heavy vibration, because you're adding a little bit of joy in there. So your vibration is raising a little bit. It's also, if you imagine energy coming together, it gets dense. Heavy energy is dense. When the vibration is lighter, the energy is lighter, it's less dense. So whenever you add joy to hard situations as much as you can, it lightens up the heavy energy and it's easier to clear and release in that form. So if we take a step back and say we're in that outer perspective and we look at it in a childlike view, because we're detaching just for a bit of time. We do want to, release the emotions and stuff, but sometimes we need space. And when we get that space and we're looking from a childlike perspective, and then we can bring a little fun into that, it's so much easier when we go back to address all of it, because there's a little bit more lightness. It helps to actually release more.
I love that. Bringing the element of joy into our process of self-discovery and healing, that really kind of changes the whole dynamics. And as you were saying, it doesn't make it so heavy and so dense. It gives it that lightness, that sense of play. You've given us so many different themes and such rich, vast knowledge for us to work with, so we can release all these self-sabotage thought patterns and really gain a sense of mastery over ourselves, over our mind and our emotions, so that we can flourish and then so we can be all that we were created to be. Lauren, we have a few more minutes. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch upon before we do the final comments?
I feel like, so I will go over those 3 themes because they're really quick. One is joy, because it's such a higher vibration, joy and fun, bringing that into our lives way more, allowing your inner child to come out. That's a theme of 2022. The other theme that I said with it is bringing in the balanced mind. The balanced masculine is coming back in, because we want both, right? But we want the balance side of both. And so we're going to bring that in more so in 2022. And the third one is escaping my mind right now, but it's in there.
Lauren, this has been such an enlightening conversation, and I so appreciate all that you share to help us, to guide us, and also to teach us. Before we close, though, you have a January 18th free workshop on light codes. Could you just tap into that, share with us what that's about and how people can sign up for that?
Yes. So the January 18th is a Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So whatever it is in your time zone. And what it is it's a light code exploration where we are going into light codes. So if you are interested in light codes, we're going into the understanding of light codes, a little bit more about the light language, getting a grip of that, because there's so many different energies with light language, and then breaking down the structure of light codes so that you're able to get more of a sense if you see a light code. So a lot of people that are in the group are really tapping into their individual gifts. A lot of them are seeing light codes is coming up for a lot of them right now. So I was like, yes, let's play, let's have fun, let's do this. That's another part of 22 is, and as we're going and moving forward, it's really awakening our gifts. And this way to do that is playing, because playing is expansive, because it's higher vibration. So we're able to reach out more instead of saying, no, we have to do it this way. When we put blinders on and saying it has to be done a certain way because we want the control, we're not allowing ourselves to really open up. We're not allowing ourselves, our own gifts, to really flourish. So this is a fun way to learn how to play with, higher vibrational energies, in a sense of getting to know what they mean and kind of going into that. That is I have 2 ways to access that. We have it in our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is Light Workers and Healers. Lightworkers is one word, and is the and sign, Healers Tribe. So you can join that to register. The second way, we are doing it on Zoom. So if you're not in Facebook, you don't like that platform for whatever reason, or you're just not in it, we have a Zoom option where you can come and join on Zoom. I'm going to be on both. And one way to access that and to get in touch with us to register for it, and guys, this is a free workshop, is my email at Lauren, Lauren, at Earth in Balance. So EARTH, N for Nancy, just the letter N, balance, BALANCE.com. And just send me an email and we'll get you registered. We'll get you the Zoom link and you can come play with us.
That sounds great. All right, Lauren, we love to have our guests provide the closing comments. We're all going to heal these sabotaging thoughts and have more fun and joy and let go and surrender and really become all that we were meant to and live our life in the fullest potential that we can. And as you said, it's a process and you have to have, you have to practice. It's not going to be, overnight. Could be, but typically it's, it's a process that unfolds for us. So with that being said, any final comments that you would like to close the show with?
I am just really thankful to be on this show with you, Leslie Sue, and absolutely have had such a joy. And I hope this is helpful for everybody who watches this, artists in any form or fashion, and whomever, whether, wherever your life brings you. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Much success with your beautiful group on Facebook and your upcoming workshop with light codes, and inspiring people to join your group, because I know these are ongoing and you have a lot of rich knowledge that you share. And also people can contact you, as you said, if they feel like they want to get a little bit extra help on this journey. So you're available as a mentor and teacher as well. So thank you so much, Lauren, for being our guest today on Art and Talk. Much success with everything.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you again, everyone, for watching Art and Talk. Please stay connected with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Art and Talk, and stay connected with us on Facebook as well. We appreciate your support, and we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.